on. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
All right, so it is 10:02, so I'm going to go ahead and get this call started, and I'll just let people in as they pop up. But good morning, everyone. My name's Cassidy Kendrick. I'm the Outreach and Training Coordinator for DCA. So I've only been here with DCA for a couple of months now, and the rest of our team is down in Moultrie, conducting the last week of in-person assessment presentations. So they are in the middle of one right now. So that's why they're not on here with us this morning. But we've got some great presentations for y'all. We are focused on public art this morning, and we've got some speakers from Hapeville and Suwanee that are going to be sharing some really great ideas and projects that they've been working on in their communities. But first, I want to thank everybody for being on here this morning. And also, I think a few DCA regional reps are on here. So thank you for taking the time to be on this call. Also, I saw Jason is on here. Jason, did you have any updates from GDA that you wanted to share?
Yeah, that's great. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. A couple of things that I wanted to share with everyone. HB 376, that's the bill we've been focused on pretty heavily. You might have seen some email traffic about that. This has to do with historic tax credits. That passed the Senate. And with the exception of a few small changes that the House will have to kind of re-vote on, that will go to the governor's desk. So we're not quite finished yet. We got to get the governor to sign off on that. But that's a huge victory, kind of clearing the Senate chamber. So I want to send just a big thank you to Emily Hopkins and her team, our legislative committee, but everyone who called or sent an email. These are the types of things you have to do to make progress when things are under the gold dome. You have to, let your voice be heard. So thank you to everybody who did that. Also, CDB classes, June 9th and 10th in Douglas. I guess the registration is still open for that. If you haven't, please sign up for those. Those are a great opportunity to get some credentials attached to the training that you go through. We have our regional meetups. Those are around the corner. Dublin's coming up April 7th. Hayhira is April 21st. Hogansville, May 5th. And then don't forget about our conference. So in August, we'll all be together. There's a request for education proposals should be out, and you should have seen those. And there'll be award nomination applications open soon. And kind of lastly, our Edge scholarship is available to help offset some of the costs of those. So please consider applying for that. And unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our first presenter. We're going to start it off this morning with Nikki Cales. She is the Main Street Manager for Hapeville, and she's been with them for a couple of years now. New to the Main Street world, but Hapeville has some really great public art programming and branding going on. From what I've seen, they really have just knocked it out of the park with things that they are doing between the branding and their arts district and all their special events coming up around public art. So I am going to hand it over to Nikki to share with y'all about what Hapeville is doing. And if you have any questions for her, just drop it in the chat. We're going to do questions for both presenters at the end. So just hold on to your questions. And yeah, Nikki, I'm going to let you go ahead and share your screen.
All right. Let's see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, good morning, everybody. I'm excited to share what we've been working on and what Hapeville's been doing for the past 20 years, basically. Um, but so I'll just get started, jump pop right in. Just a little background about Hapeville if you're not familiar. Hapeville is a super tiny little city in South Atlanta, right next to the airport. We are 2 miles long, so there's a lot of really small town feelings and really great community in there. And so we've been a Main Street city since 2003. Um, I have just a little presentation prepared that just goes over some of the, oh my gosh, my cat, I'm so sorry. It goes over some of the branding that we've been doing, the arts programming and facilities, some of the community and arts events that we focus on, how we market, which is, I think, a huge way that we're getting the word out there that Hapeville is a home for the arts. And then some of the partnerships and collaborations that we have with organizations within Hapeville and within just the Metro Atlanta area. Okay, so branding. Y'all might have seen that Hapeville is we have butterflies, kind of the mascot of sorts. Um, so the butterfly aesthetic gives us a brand. It's helps represent the transformation of downtown Hapeville. My boss tells me all the time, she's been here for 25 years, that there used to be tumbleweeds going down the main street. So it's completely transformed, and these butterflies are representations of that. So we have 20 fiberglass public art butterflies that are painted by public artists, or I'm sorry, local artists, all throughout downtown. We also have been working on the Home for the Arts tagline, which is on a billboard off of 75. We've got some street pole banners made that have that tagline on it as well. And behind a row of our buildings on our main street, we constructed Arts Alley, which was made in 2016. Um, and then a lot of other public art initiatives like some murals, and we also had some placemaking initiatives, as in as such as the Arts District marquee, which is pictured on the right. This is a gateway sign that signals the entrance to the Arts District. And we're really defining the Arts District now that we have this sign. Um, and it was a grant funded sign through GM on Main Street. And I think that they still have um, openings for that application. Um, and so this is a marquee that we had to physically change the letters on, and it's really fun. People are really loving it. Um, we also, part of the branding was switching our logo. You can see down at the bottom, the left was the logo, and then we've switched it to a more colorful, including the butterfly with the lamppost to signify main streets. And then now we have a brand new downtown website and I'll go into that a little bit more too. But really just focusing on honing in on arts and just putting out as much arts branding as possible. And then so for art programming and facilities, the Hapeville Arts Alliance is a nonprofit arts organization in Hapeville that has worked closely with the Main Street program for 15 plus years. And I want to say, when did that happen? 2016 or so. Um, the Arts Alliance worked with the city of Hapeville to get the shipping containers that were converted into studio and gallery spaces. And so there's two of them, and they're located just in downtown, in the heart of downtown. And they're used for exhibition spaces, pop-up spaces, and they're now the home of the new Main Street Artist Residency Program. And so we started that last year, May of last year. So it is still brand new, but it's been super successful so far. The last year it was a 12-week program per session, with 2 artists per session. And at the conclusion of each session, there is a gallery crawl that happens downtown wide, where the artist in the residency program is an exhibition space in that event. I'll go into gallery crawl events a little bit in a second, but the program for the Main Street Artist Residency Program, it's a mutually beneficial exchange between us and the artist, where this artist is getting free studio space, a stipend. They're getting promotion because we're regularly promoting on our social media and our website. And in return, they help promote Hapeville. They're putting it on their social media. They're inviting their friends to come to Hapeville, people that have never heard of Hapeville. And we're seeing a huge support from the community and a lot more visitors too. And they host workshops, open studios, and are open during our community events so that they're getting involved with other parts of the city of Hapeville as well. Right. And then, so for community and arts events, we have narrowed it down to doing 4 events a year, 1 every season, so that we
Hold on
can
one
have time to
second.
do other things too.
Nikki, I think
Um,
somebody might be sharing their screen right now on accident
oh,
because your
oh
PowerPoint
no.
went away.
Oh no. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Um, but yeah, so we've focused on doing 1 event per season. So for spring, we do the Butterfly Lantern Parade, which is actually this Saturday. If y'all are nearby, you should totally come. It's going to be incredible. It used to be in the park, but we've moved it. We're really trying to focus our events on being on the downtown strip. So we are blocking off our main street so that people can walk on the street, and we'll have the parade go through our main road, to really help bring the crowd directly to our businesses. Um, and then, and so just a little background on the Butterfly Parade. This is our 4th year. We work with Chantel Ritter, who is a nationally recognized parade artist and puppet artist. She does the Beltline Parade, and a parade in Hilton Head and Suwanee. I think it's Suwanee. But she does them all over the place. So that alone is reaching thousands of people that we wouldn't normally reach. So that's a strategic partnership as well. Um, and then, so again, the artist residency program, at the end of each session, we host a gallery crawl that is downtown wide. And that means that our businesses are transformed into exhibition spaces for the local artist. We create a map with the artist that's going to be at each location. We have these exclamation point little structures that signify where each exhibition location is. And this is something that the Arts Alliance and the Main Street program used to partner and host in 2015 to 2019. And then COVID happened and things just slowed down a little bit, but we're doing a resurgence of those because they're super popular and it's a great way to get people directly into the businesses. So the first year we've done it since 2019, I want to say, or 2020 is last year. And we had around 700 plus attendees for each event, which is pretty amazing. We had a really, really great turnout. And then in December, we do Free Art Hapeville, which is it's a unique event. I've never seen anything like this before I started working here. But it is where the Main Street program provides a $500 grant for local artists so that they can give away 100 pieces of artwork to the attendees of the event. It's a little bit of a smaller event with around 200 attendees, but we're looking at ways that we can expand it so that it includes more activities and reaches more of the businesses as well. A huge part of what helps push out this arts related community programming is the marketing of it. So we started our Main Street Instagram in 2024. We realized that the reels get more attention. So trying to create reels that are trending and including the music in any posts that we do, inviting collaborators with, like if we're collaborating with a business, we collaborate on the post as well so that it reaches their followers too. And then also sending and sharing events with local influencers in the metro area. They'll do a post and then that reaches 30,000 other people that we don't reach. So just kind of trying to be strategic in how we get our information out there. We've also tried to start tracking our online visitor metrics. So for example, the bottom left, just keeping track to see, is this working? Are we seeing growth from it? And we are. So like, for example, in July last year, that was the first gallery crawl, and we got 39,000 impressions on Instagram and 326 new followers, which was huge. So it's showing that these events do reach people, and it's bringing more people to Hapeville. Other ways we try to market is having some unique giveaways or bags to sell or things like that. So like for Free Art Hapeville, we do a branded Hapeville artwork that is created by a local artist. So you'll see the artwork that's listed there is all from different artists in the Metro Atlanta area. Yeah, and then we also have now the new downtown website. We have a whole section that is only for the arts district, and it includes all of the arts related businesses, arts programming. We have a calendar that lists anything that's happening, like with the Academy Theater or with the Atlanta Printmaker Studio, so that we can help promote those offerings as a way to bring in some tourists. And then partnerships and collaborations are a huge way to just, you can't do it by yourself. You have to work and network with other organizations. That's how it grows. So the Hapeville Arts Alliance, again, is that nonprofit that's been operating in Hapeville for 15 plus years. They are the true start of the Hapeville Arts Initiative. Back in 2014, they did those art containers. They started with those gallery crawls and doing art shows at the Art Center. So they were a huge, huge push into what Hapeville is right now for the arts. There's also the Hapeville Depot Museum that was a train depot built in 1890, Turn Museum, and they offer an artist and historian residency program and also do exhibitions during our gallery crawls and just in general, they do art exhibitions. We also have the Atlanta Printmaker Studio that is located in a renovated building that used to be a 1960s gas station. And that's also where the Arts District sign is. So that's the start of the Arts District. And that was a strategic placement too, to be at an arts organization and facility. And then we also have the Academy Theater, which is right in the heart of downtown, right on our main street. We have Freeside Atlanta is located in Hapeville, and it is a makerspace. We have collaborated with them on numerous occasions. Like they built our explanation points for the gallery crawls. They do every event we do, they offer a free art activity that's collaborative with the community. Like for example, the thing on the right, the butterfly on the right, they built that structure, and the people that came to the butterfly parade last year got to decorate these little pieces and place them within the like stained glass mosaic. We also have the Goat Farm Satellite, the Goat Farm is a very popular art organization in Atlanta. And they have a satellite location here in Hapeville with like over 20 studio spaces, and they work with us a lot on our gallery crawls so that the attendees can go in and look at these people's these artist studio spaces in person, which is a really unique experience. Very cool. ATL Glassworks just moved to Hapeville this year, which is a huge arts organization. They offer art glass retail, and they are the only one in Georgia. So that's huge. That's bringing even more people to Hapeville, and they chose Hapeville because of our arts focus. So we're getting businesses to come here because of our vision of being a home for the arts. And then we also work with Dashboard, which is another local arts organization. They do a lot of installations. And so they've done some installations for us for the gallery crawls, and we'll continue to work with them because that's bringing artists, more artists in, more people in to Hapeville. And that's it for me. I think I went over most of it. I'm sure there's so much. I'm sure y'all can understand. There's tons of art stuff, but yeah, here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out anytime. I'd love to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Nikki. I personally really love the giant exclamation points that y'all have for your gallery crawls. I think that's really cool. Y'all put those at each of the participating businesses in the gallery.
Mhm.
I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I'm curious how heavy they are.
They're not super heavy, luckily.
Nice. Awesome. Well, if anybody has any questions for Nikki, just drop them in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter. So thank you so much, Nikki, for all that really great information about Hapeville and all of y'all's arts programming. And it seems like a lot of people were interested in your slides. Do you mind if I share them with everyone after the call's over? Awesome. Okay. I'll email out the recording and all the slides from today to everybody, so don't worry. Next, we've got Kim and Chris from Suwanee. I believe Kim is the one who's going to be sharing her screen, and then anything that Chris may need to add on to the presentation, just feel free to chime in. I've got 3 screens of people pulled up right now, so I'm not sure where Kim. Okay, there's Kim. All right, great. Kim, if you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen, and tell us about the arts programming and all the public art. We know Suwanee has all kinds of public art projects going on right now. So if you want to go ahead and take it away, we're excited to hear from you all as well.
Sure. I wanted to defer to Chris. Chris, did you have something to say at the top?
No, the only thing I would add is, our department is set up pretty uniquely. Having visited a lot of cities, we have different folks who do public art. So Kim is our special projects coordinator overseeing this. I do economic development and downtown development. We also have graphic and marketing design and communications in our department and events. So we're all really closely aligned. So a lot of what Kim's going to talk about from what we do inside the city is a great economic development tool to be able to help promote the city and help to be able to get businesses to participate in our public arts program. But I'm gonna let Kim talk about kind of what she does, and I'll, anything I want to add, I guess I'll jump in after that.
Okay,
Sounds great.
thank you. Yeah, so it is a little bit different than, as Chris mentioned, from some cities. So we do have a partnership with twofold. One was with a local arts organization. It sounds like it's very similar to what Nikki was describing in Hapeville. Instead of an arts alliance, ours used to be called the North Gwinnett Arts Association, which was kind of a loose group of artists, but they're really more individually, independently working on their crafts. It wasn't something that was connected with the city in way of visibility or public art. We did partner with them about a decade ago, kind of rebranded as the Suwanee Arts Center, and they also house our Welcome Center. So their brick and mortar location is actually houses both of those organizations, and it helps us and it helps them. It helps them to have visibility and artist space. They do their own gallery shows and summer camps, and they help us with the Lantern Parade. You did mention, and you were right. Yeah, Chantel, I found her on the Beltline 100 years ago and just thought it was great, and decided that we would bring that to Suwanee. I think this is at maybe our 6th year. Um, and we're partnering with the Atlanta International Night Market. If you've heard of that, they host it in 3 or 4 different locations annually. Um, I have to give them a plug. They're up for best of through USA Today newspaper. So if you get a chance and you want to Google Atlanta International Night Market and vote for Suwanee, we would love that so that we can be best in the country. They won silver last year, 2nd place. So back to the arts. So our arts organization kind of focuses on artists working more in small media. So they're doing more indoor installations. They don't really do a lot with our public art. Then we have a public arts commission, which is a 7-member board, basically, that is appointed by the city council. That's a volunteer board that I work with mostly, and they lead the direction of our public arts program. In our public arts program, hopefully this crosswalk picture is showing up on your screen. I don't see in Teams where I can see what I'm sharing. I'm like, I guess I'm sharing this because I selected that. So, so our public art component is really 3 sides. One is the permanent collection, which are pieces that we have scattered around the city. These are selected primarily through that Public Arts Commission. So it's not a separate organization. We have historical pieces, such as a piece of the Berlin Wall. We have, this is a piece from an iconic water tower. If you ever drove through Gwinnett County before, when was it decommissioned? I want to say 2010, somewhere around there. This was a piece of the art of the water towers. And we have some murals scattered around the city like a lot of cities do. The second component of public art that we have is our temporary installations. I'm scrolling here to find it. So Sculpture is a rotating exhibit of about 20 to 24 pieces that our Public Arts Commission selects through an RFQ process. And they're sculptures that we place around the city, and we rotate them every 2 years to keep it fresh and interesting. The artists receive a stipend for that, and we are fortunate that our Public Arts Commission works closely with our Public Works Department. So we are able to save money and really allocate the funding that we have toward the artist stipend. So our Public Works Department, they manage all of the installation. They absorb the cost of, we rent some equipment on occasion, like a lift or something like that, to install the art and deinstall it every 2 years. We have, as Chris mentioned, we have in-house publications and graphic design. So they'll do our web hosting, they'll write the content for that, make new brochures. And then our art center has done some walking tours in the past so that people can meet the artists or interact with the pieces. So the temporary exhibit keeps it really kind of fresh and interesting without necessarily being an event. And each piece has a QR code on it, like a lot of cities do, where you can scan it and up will pop a video or an audio clip of the artists themselves talking about their piece. So it's, right now we have 40 pieces on that walking tour, including some historical sites we've mixed in with that. So that's kind of cool that it encourages them to go from downtown to our newer town center area to our newest town center on Main Park. And every single bit of the way, there's something for them to scan, for a customer, a visitor, sorry, to scan and find of interest. So that's the first 2 components for Suwanee Public Art. So we have the permanent collection pieces, the temporary pieces, which we call Sculpture. And then our third component is what we call developer art. So we instituted back in 2007, 8, somewhere in there, a voluntary, and that's very important to emphasize, a voluntary participation in developers allocating about 1% of their construction costs of new projects towards public art. And that can take the shape of either they are commissioning an art piece that would be custom and unique to their site, they're adding a mural to their space like this one, or they're purchasing a piece that was already in existence. Sometimes it's part of our temporary exhibit, and we can help broker that deal with them to talk to an artist and buy a piece and relocate it to their site. A couple of these have been done like these. Or the third way that they can contribute, which I don't know, might be one of my favorite ways, is they can just donate cash. So we also love the cash donations to our public art program. And the reason that donating the cash is important to us is because our public arts fund is not a line item in the city budget. Other than staff time, which would include my time, a lot of people on our staff work tangentially with public art, but also it includes the public works when they are helping to clean, maintain, repair, or install the art, graphic design, web hosting, all of that we just kind of absorb into our regular economic development and marketing costs. But the money that we have to pay artists, either for a commission or for loan or stipends or any of that, has to be all funded privately. And there's several reasons for that. The biggest reason, I'm sure those of you who are downtown managers or work with city budgets can appreciate, is it helps to insulate you from any blowback. So if the public doesn't want to see that they either don't find that art is important to spend public dollars on, or they don't like a particular piece, or maybe it's polarizing, or they feel that it's political, although we try to stay away from political pieces, it's something that we can say this was funded by private dollars. We have individuals who donate, we have businesses that donate, and we allocate a lot of the fees that the city charges for event, park rental fees, all of that actually gets funneled into our public arts fund. So anytime we're having any other event here that might be a 5K where they're renting the park from us, those fees that they're paying to the park actually can go right into the public arts fund. Sometimes we have our own events, and the fees that we're collecting for food trucks and vendors and all of that can be several $1,000s. That goes into the Public Arts Fund, in addition to developers donating. I'm going to share another picture here that, or not a picture, but I don't know if this is sharing now. Is this still, do you have an Excel sheet showing up on there?
Nope.
We see.
Okay, so I got to reshare, I think. Okay. It's just an Excel sheet, so it's probably not the sexiest thing, but I love this slide because it shows that for our voluntary contributions, we have a 70% success rate of developers who have completed the project that they came before the PAC with, which since we started the program has been 84 projects. 58 of those projects have been completed. So sometimes they're still in process, and some of them, as you know, with construction projects, they just drop off. They just change their mind or lose funding or whatever reason. So of the projects that have been completed, we've had a 70% voluntary participation. And of those, 31 have been pieces or murals that have been installed on their properties. So it helps us to spread the look of art throughout the entire city. So it's not just in our public parks and in front of city buildings, although we do indeed have art there. And then donations so far since 2009 have topped at 205,000 to date. So that is a lot of money that we are then able to spend to acquire art to put out for the public that is not coming out of taxpayer dollars.
Kim, one thing I would say too, and
Yep.
this is from a kind of a process standpoint, we've required when anybody presents plans to our planning and development, it's part of their checklist. They have to go before the PAC, the Public Art Commission. That's a requirement. They don't have to participate, but to get their even plans reviewed, they have to pitch what they're doing to the PAC, and then the PAC gets to talk about the public art program. So.
Yep, that's correct. So that's one component that I would highlight that we do that's a little bit different that I think a lot of cities who are looking at how do I start a public art program? How do we fund it? How do we justify it to taxpayers or businesses that might want to complain or might want to participate either way? So all of this information is housed on our website. So we have our public art master plan, which was written about 10 or 11 years ago. We're getting ready to rewrite it. I think that that's a very important component. We invested in having a public art consultant help us to write that so that we could shape the direction that we wanted public art to go. And one thing I didn't really mention is arts events. And I think Nikki did a really good job of showing how they've woven events into art. Part of our agreement with our art center, the brick and mortar location, they provide classes to the public. They do open calls for artists. They rotate their exhibits about every 6 weeks. And they have to, part of their contract, house our welcome center and produce 2 citywide events that the entire public can attend free of charge. One of those is coming up in a couple of weeks. It's our Spring Arts Festival. And the other one, sometimes every year they change it. It's been a car show in the past. It's been a jazz festival in the past. This year they're actually doing art themed 5K because they're looking for a different way to kind of raise some money and bring awareness to public art. So they're doing something a little bit different. But that's one of our agreements, is that they produce those events for us. And then I can also share, or we can send out afterwards, we have a developer guide to public art that is housed on our website as well. Let me see if this is the right one. I think that this is what Chris was talking about, is that we have what's expected of all developers who are bringing new ground up development to the city, is we are requesting a 1% commitment. I've had this question before. How do we follow up on that? How do we approve the art? How do we make sure we don't? It's completely on the honor system. The follow-up is just more of a courtesy. Hey, how's your project going? Thank you for coming to the Public Arts Commission. Do you need some assistance? Are you looking? We do offer the services up to 3 hours from a public art consultant, landscape architect. He will go to their site and kind of advise them on where he thinks art might work in their site. But a lot of them don't take us up on that. They have their own idea of where they want something. And then so we give them a little brochure, a little presentation about why we feel it's important. And then we trust that they'll participate and add to it, kind of leaning into that good neighbor vibe. Like, you're moving into Suwanee, you're building a business here. This is what our citizens have gotten used to. This is what they expect, is to see vibrancy and art and beauty around every corner. So I'm sure that you want to participate with that in some manner. So that's kind of how we do that. But we give them a guide here of how to find an artist, how to locate the art on their site, and things like that, just to kind of help them kind of understand what our expectations are. Those are some ways. I think my thing when I talked to Cassidy last week was kind of leaning more into, for you as an audience, how you might be able to replicate some of the things that we have done within your city on a budget, right? So wrapping it into costs of what you're already doing and looking for creative ways for funding. So I think it's attainable. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention is the support that we get from our local, here we call it Explore Gwinnett, but it's basically like our CVB, Destination Management Organization. Our county supports us really well in that, not only through grants, but sometimes they'll support one round of our Sculpture program, which costs about $24,000 a year to run. And that's 100% artist stipends. So they've supported that, underwritten that a couple of times, which has been great. They have a grant program where we've had mural costs covered or met with the funds that we have in our Public Arts Commission accounts. We've leveraged relationships with local schools, including we have a PCOM, Philadelphia College of Arts, or Philadelphia College of Medicine here. We've used relationships with SCAD, with the high school. The high school art teacher has actually led a couple of kid-driven murals through the Arts Honor Society, and we're preparing to do another one this year. So the students are having an involvement in that. So again, and we do pay her a stipend for her time. So you don't want to expect, you absolutely don't want to expect that artists are going to donate their time or work on spec, because that can be a little bit insulting to them, as you can imagine. So exposure doesn't pay the bills is a famous saying in the art world. So make sure that you're paying your artists fairly and researching that. But leveraging those clubs and organizations that are already out there is huge, as well as a cost savings and getting community buy-in. So that's kind of what I had from our perspective of looking in that way. And I'm reading in the chat here. So
Yeah, awesome. I was going to say, thank you for all of that great information. When we talked last week, I was also really interested in knowing more about the developer guide that y'all have to encourage that in your in your public or in your development, public art in your development. So, and a lot of people are asking questions about that in the chat. So I figured I'll just scroll back up and start with the questions part over here. I think mostly for Nikki, people wanted copies of your slides and they were excited about the containers, the art residency containers that y'all have. So I will share out Nikki's presentation in an email with everyone after this. And looks like Asia would like to connect with you about a tour of Hapeville. So anyone looking to do a field trip over to Hapeville, get in touch with Nikki.
Yes,
Okay.
Chris, set us up. I want to take the Public Arts Commission as well as our Economic Development Department. We could all go one day, maybe.
Absolutely.
I want to go up there to you too.
So it looks like Glenda has a question about who manages your Public Arts Commission. Does the city oversee in any way?
It is entirely the city. So they're appointed by our council to serve on a 2-year term. The people who are applying have to either own a business in Suwanee or be a Suwanee resident. And so we have a 7-member board. They do have a chair and a vice chair. We meet once a month, but they report really to the city. So myself and our assistant city manager, we're the people who really manage them and help them with, creating the agendas, their public meetings and all that. So it runs similar to our DDA does, or any other board that we have in the city. The Arts Center staff, they have a staff of 1 full-time person and 2 half-time people. And their full-time executive director serves as an advisory member on our board, but she personally isn't eligible to serve on our Arts Commission because she's not a resident or a business owner in the city limits. However, we value her input as an artist and someone who's worked in that field for a long time. So she's a non-voting member.
Got it. Question from Tanya. They have their first large art installation soon. Do you have any big reveal ideas?
I don't know. I can answer that. I saw one. I was very jealous. I'm going to try to pull up a picture and see if I can throw it in the chat, but it's on a different account. I got to look for it. So last year, the medical college that's near here, they commissioned a giant mural and we assisted them in finding the artist and creating the mural. And they actually did rig up a whole pulley system with loops of cord around it and then pulled it and the drape dropped down and the art is massive. It's got to be a 60-foot long wall or longer, 80 feet maybe. And I was very impressed with how they found this huge tarp and they rigged it and all that. So, but they said their janitorial staff, kind of custodial staff, figured that out for them, but that was really cool. And then other times our art is so big that we can't really cover it for an unveiling. So it's out there, the public can see it like a soft opening, and then we'll hold a ribbon cutting with the whole dignitaries and people coming to talk, or having the artist come and talk about their piece is always nice. But a lot of our commissions, the artists don't live around here, so we can't always arrange that. That's my perspective.
Tanya, how big is your installation?
It's massive. It's like
Is it your
20.
cube?
No, my
Oh.
cube is there. That's my temporary art. But no, we've got a metal piece coming soon. It's about a 20-foot long wall with a 12 to 15-foot tree with branches that reach about 12 feet out. So it's kind of like what Kim just said. It's so large it can't be covered. But so I was thinking, like, well, people are going to be driving by and being like, well, what the heck is that?
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah.
Okay, I'll do it at some point.
One thing I would like to add, just kind of, I think Kim touched on a ton of stuff. A lot of what we do with the arts was born out of our 2020 vision plan, our strategic plan back in 2012. And that plan really said we want to be a place where arts and culture exist, but it really didn't come up with a strategy. A lot of the things with the developer guide and whatnot, the partnership with our Suwanee Arts Center came from that. And one of the things we also do is we use hotel motel funds to help with the Suwanee Arts Center because they're housing our welcome center, which was huge. But we wanted to make sure from that vision plan, public art was tied to development. That's where you get the development piece. We wanted to have identity through arts, and it was with murals and sculptures and whatnot. And then the biggest thing for me is being able to sell Suwanee to businesses to either bring them in or keep them here, because arts is an economic development tool. A big part of our identity is placemaking. Arts are a huge part of that. Events are a huge part of that. The design of the physical space is the other part of that. But we wouldn't be who we are today had it not been for that robust development of the arts program over the last 10, 15 years.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I was going to chime in that one of my goals is I would like to, we and Chris talked about a lot about development. We have focused a lot on new business and new business acquisition here in the city, but we're getting built out physically. So a lot of the projects that now come before for approval, they don't come before the Public Arts Commission anymore because it's renovating a current space, and that is not part of our component. So I think it's for us, it's probably time to reevaluate that, and maybe we think about, could we offer a grant program? Could we obtain funding ourselves that we could offer grants to existing businesses, or a program to say, hey, you've got an amazing wall. I don't know if you've thought about putting an artist and putting you in touch with an artist and creating a mural there, or we have these sculptures that would look great in the space. Could we relocate it there? Maybe it's a cost matching or something similar, but I think that's the next step for Suwanee, and maybe for some other cities that maybe don't have a lot of new development coming in, is creating an avenue to spread that a little bit further. That's my dream to do. And then I did find this for the person who was asking, I'll share this video here. This was huge, and I don't know that, I mean, this mural is massive. And you can see at the top that they actually rigged up a tarp and then pulled it down, and they had that up for weeks. And the artist actually, after he had the most of the art done, he hid behind it and painted the finishing touches where they couldn't see it. So it is possible to hide something pretty large.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank y'all so much for sharing this morning. I know that it was insightful for me, and it seems like several communities are already interested in taking field trips to come and see all your great work in person. And I did want to just ask one more time, does anybody else have any questions for our presenters, or anything outside of what we talked about today that they just wanted to share with the group while we have everyone here? We're kind of quiet this morning. But does anyone have any special events happening this weekend that we should know about? I know Nikki's got her Lantern Festival taking place, but anybody else got a festival or anything they want to share?
Suwanee has the largest and voted the #1 beer fest in the Southeast and the United States coming up on Saturday, and we still have tickets available. Come sample 500 beers in 5 hours.
Wow. Jeez. We
Challenge
did get,
accepted.
jeez, we did get one more question in the chat right here. How did you all get buy-in from your council members to move forward with your art programs? Nikki, or Kim, anybody want to take a stab at that one?
I think so. I was not here when that program started, but I do know that 2 of our council members actually served on the initial steering committee for developing an art program, and also served on the Public Arts Commission at the very inception of it. And I don't think it was ever a question of talking them into it. I do know that some pushback comes on funding and art selection. So getting around that, we talked a lot about ways to be creatively funded, because they're elected officials. So ultimately, the public sees them as accountable for anything they like or don't like that's going on in the city. And we do put under the noses certain things for approval, and especially when doing like an RFQ or an RFP for a new artwork. We do show them everything that we are deciding on at the Public Arts Commission. And like I said, they appoint that board, that commission. So they kind of review who that membership is. But by and large, at this point, we've gained a lot of trust, and they really trust that we're making the right decision for the city image.
All right. Thank you. Nikki, did you have anything to add on there?
No, I feel the same way. It's just our council is very supportive of the arts. They see the impact that it has on the landscape of the city and just the energy surrounding the city, and they see how it impacts the economic landscape as well. So they're super supportive. And we had a council member that's an artist, like Atlanta recognized artist. So the arts have been supported for a long time here, luckily.
I think it's important to mention too, the city of Suwanee, one of our big parts of our identity is open space parks. And 2 years ago, we just opened a $30 million expansion of Suwanee Town Center. And a part of that initiative was a capital campaign to raise funds for public art. And if I'm not mistaken, Kim, was it 1.3 million was raised?
Yeah, well, the goal was 1.2, and right now, as of today, we are sitting at, we'll be at 1.7.
1.7.
So we surpassed that, and that was all private donations.
That makes it more politically palatable when you have the private sector, private funds helping to fund some of these important art projects.
Definitely.
Well, I'd like to invite you guys to our first Art in the Park in Vidalia on March 28th. Of course, in the Main Street world, we like to R&D, so I am giving some credit to Brazelton. So they have their Artrageous event. We call this Art in the Park, and we've got 3 large cubes, 8-foot by 8-foot cubes. We've got 8 muralists coming, and then we created a community cube that's like a paint by number for the community to come and do, and it's all commemorative of America's 250th birthday. So we're looking forward to that. We've got some really cool artisan vendors coming to set up. Of course, we've got food trucks and stuff. So we're looking forward to that on March 28th. Come see us.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to shout out April in Thomasville because there's a whole group of us coming to visit Thomasville next week for the new manager retreat. A lot of our Main Street managers across the state have been in their positions for less than 3 years. So we are putting on a new manager retreat for them to try and help them get connected with resources and partners and just learn as much as they can about Main Street and using some examples from all of your communities in these trainings. So thank you, April, for being our host for this. We're excited to see you and your team next week. I think several people that are coming to that are on this call right now. So, but if nobody else has any other questions,
I have a question. This is
okay.
Stephanie Johnson with the City of Dawson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm fairly new to my position with the downtown DDA. We currently have, I think, about 4 murals that have been in our community. I know at least for the last 10 years, and they definitely need to be repainted, refurbished, retouched up, or I'm not sure the right word to say, but most of the people who were in leadership at that time, they're no longer here. So as far as having guidance on how to handle that, what approach do you think I would need to take in just reestablishing that the culture of arts is important back to our community? I also manage our downtown theater, who does not have a particular cultural niche or arts, and I am a part of the Georgia Presenters, but I'm just trying to figure out how to segue that culture back downtown to our community to get funding and support, and how important it is, as both of you both have presented, for your communities. Can you hear me?
I can talk.
Okay.
Oh, so it's kind of two
Okay.
questions. I can talk about the
Yeah, it was.
refurbishment and everything. So part of the cost that you do have to consider when you're adding so much public art to your city is what is the cost of maintenance, refurbishment, or once in a while you may just decide that a piece needs retired, that maybe the mural has lived its useful life and it's time to commission a new piece in that location. You do have to look at the agreement that you have with the artist because there's some rules and laws actually surrounding that artwork that it lives in perpetuity. So
Okay.
anyway, but that has to be part of the budget, right? So in some ways you may be able to be creative with that some of that budgeted money might come out of your regular maintenance or parks maintenance or facilities maintenance budgets. Just depends on what it's on. If it's on private property, again, you might have an incentive plan. You might be able to come up with a grant program. There's also national, regional, local grants for maintaining art, especially murals. There's a lot of interest in that, partnering with local schools and things too.
Okay.
And then, so, I mean, but yes, that is a consideration. We are fortunate that our public works department can absorb a lot of that. But there's times that I've had to look for a specialist to come out and repair it. And because of the way that we fund our money, to be honest, we really do try to put the maintenance costs, unless it requires a true specialist, it's an artistic specialist. We try to put that under maintenance of parks and facilities when possible to retain our budget for acquiring art. And then I'm sorry, this maybe Nikki has another answer to maintenance, and then you had a second question.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions? I'll ask if Nikki, Kim, and Chris want to stay on a couple minutes after, if anybody is hanging around to ask a question, but we're almost at the hour mark and I know everybody's really busy, so I just want to be mindful of y'all's time, but I'll be available for a few more minutes um, after the call's over. Oh, Pembroke. Fernanda, you've got a question?
It's kind of tangentially connected, but do y'all have any recommendation on refreshing ghost murals? Ghost signs?
I think it would be the same. We have a gentleman here, his name is Sonny Franks. He's done a really nice job of doing signage. So sometimes sign painters are really good at restoring that if you're trying to keep it like it's an old, Coca-Cola mail pouch, whatever sign that's like really important for the history of the community. Some people like the ghost murals to stay kind of how they are, but there's groups out there that specialize in that. I recommend hooking up with a national arts organization. I dropped a link in the chat for Coda Works, which is a group that we like to use. And then they also have a book about the economic impact of public art. I recommend that everybody look through that. It's got really good examples of how an economic driver, how much public art can be an economic driver and bring business and tourism and money into the community. But back to the ghost mural question, they're also such a good resource for looking for specialists and looking for people who are vetted, who are accomplished artists who really know what they're doing. And then you can drill down and look regionally, which also helps you save money when you're not covering travel costs and things.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for hopping on our third Thursday call today. I appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, a few of us will be around for any more extra questions that you got. But otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all for the opportunity.